Welcome back, troglodytes, to Would You Rock or Not? Today, we're covering the fakest looking real Gibson. And we're not talking about the LPJ today. Those goofily large Gibson logos throw a lot of people into thinking that they're Gibsons, but they're not. But here is today's guitar. It kind of bounces along the boundaries of being too over the top, not fancy enough, and it just doesn't have any real identifying characteristics behind it. So let's take a quick look here. It's obviously some sort of really nice custom shop guitar, and it's highly blinged out pretty much everywhere. But there's just so much going on, and there's not a centralized theme, in my opinion, that it just makes this guitar look fake. But trust me, it is definitely the real deal. So let's go over what I'm talking about here. Let's start with the body. It has custom binding, but instead of a black, white type of pattern, it's a creamed out color with abalone inlay. Now, Gibson does this on their high-end art guitars, but this kind of follows the whole custom theme. And that's great, except for, look at this fretboard. It is definitely a bright rosewood color. So that's a mix match that kind of throws my brain off. This guitar more so reminds me of an early 80s Les Paul Studio Custom, because they had the fancy binding on the front with the rosewood fretboards, some got ebony, but they didn't have the binding on the back. So when I first saw this guitar, I thought, well, maybe it is a Studio Custom. Moving on here, the inlays are not what you would normally see on a custom or a standard or a studio for that matter. These are called Super 400 inlays. You can find them on things like the 25 50th anniversary Les Paul and the Super Customs, but outside of that, you don't see them a lot on Les Paul guitars. These originated on the Super 400 archtop guitar. That's where they get their name from. And the back of the body, as I kind of hinted earlier, it doesn't have any binding at all, so this more so follows a standard. And then once we get to the headstock, that's when just everything breaks loose and I am lost. Okay, the headstock shape is built after a standard. However, it has the custom emblem on it. And usually a Les Paul Custom, their headstock is a little bit wider, or at least it appears that way because of the binding. But with all the extra abalone inlay along the sides, it makes this headstock look really crammed, and that's why I think it makes it almost look fake. Now, this is certainly a real Gibson. The easiest way to tell, besides everything else being correct about it, is look around the Gibson logo. They always have a line going around the inlays. That's just due to how they put their inlays in. I actually talked to an employee of Gibson about that. They said it has something to do with their sandblasting technique. Most manufacturers would see that as a flaw, but it's kind of an identifying flaw. Overall, this is a Les Paul standard as a base, but then they added a bunch of Les Paul custom appointments to it. So our end result is a little bit freaky, but it is definitely an interesting one-off custom Gibson. Based on the serial number, it looks like it might be some type of R8 reissue, kind of. I can't really quite see if it has a long neck tenon or not. I'm guessing not from this photo. And I was a little bit surprised to see a Nashville-styled bridge, so I don't think it's really a historic spec guitar at all. Seeing as it's located in Japan, I'm guessing there was a custom order put in for this guitar for a prestigious collector. At $7,600, it's definitely out of the reach of most players. So I couldn't find a sample of this guitar, but let's kind of listen to what a studio custom can sound like. only question left, would you rock the fakest looking real Gibson or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.